Hi, everyone. Welcome. Marissa Mitch here, and I have a parent, a family member, Mariana Salas, with us today. And welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Marissa.
We are so grateful for you to be here and spend some time with us today, virtually, of course, to share more about your daughter Lola's story. So, why don't I kind of hand it over to you? You can tell us a little bit about Lola's birthing story and sort of where the journey all began for you and your family.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to let you know that this is like it's a long, long journey. But well, it all started for us when I was 22 weeks pregnant. They told me in the ultrasound that she was going to be born with a heart defect. They didn't know the extent of it. They did say that it would be maybe, like in the extreme side, but they were hopeful. We were too. So yeah, of course, as you can imagine, it was a devastating time on my pregnancy. Not don't I didn't know like what to expect or what to do. So when she was born out of the blue, they're like, she needs to be born now. So she needs to be born. She was born maybe a few days before the 37 weeks. So she was premature, medically
Mhm.
speaking. And then, so that's when her journey started. We went into the NICU. She had her first open heart, then her first heart cath. Then that was like 6 weeks. We got released. And then, medical needs, seeing like 5 or 6 doctors every month to just check on her. We had another heart cath. And then we had another open heart when she was 6 months old. And after that, that was her full repair. So that's when her heart, like they were like, okay, we were able to repair it. She's fully, like she's okay now.
This is at
Well,
6 months
okay.
old, you said?
Yes,
At
she's
six
six
months?
months old.
Okay.
Yes, and that time, I mean, it was the worst time of our lives. The doctors, it was in Lucille's Packers here in Stanford, and it was awful. Honestly, it was 6 weeks again. And after that, she had 14 meds. And she was withdrawing symptoms, so like an addict, because they gave her a lot of opioids medicines, I think, when her the six
Oh my
weeks in.
goodness.
Yeah, it was really scary. So actually, after that, like we came home. And when she was 8 months old, so 2 months later, that's when Kathy came into our life. So it was, well, the whole team, the first, you call it no, yeah, early
Early
intervention team.
intervention, but birth of
Yeah,
three.
so
Yeah.
yeah, birth of three. So that's when everybody came into my life when she was 8 months old. And so, the social worker, that's when I met her. That's when I, got referred to Kathy, so early intervention specialist, and to a PT because she wasn't, holding her head, she wasn't sitting down, she wasn't rolling over. So her milestones got so she was starting to do that before her second open heart surgery, so before 6 months. But then, of course, she was in bed for like 6 weeks, so
Hmm.
everything got, delayed. So yeah. So after all, they all came into my life. It was, of course, was super overwhelming. It was the first time, I mean, like when I met everyone, they were like in my house. I had like 3 or 4 different therapists coming in just to evaluate. So I was like, hi, I like you. Are you going to be my therapist? They're like, oh, no, we're just here to evaluate. And I was like, wait, what? And then another person, no, we're just evaluating. Oh, no, I'm just a doctor. Oh, hi. So I just kept meeting people. And then I have like, all, the meds. And then I have like all the doctors too. So I had to have a really organized binder. And they were saying she was maybe immune compromised too. So I was always paranoid. And like all her first year of life, I did not see anyone. I did not see my friends. I wasn't going to the park. I just, did a few walks. It was kind of like my own COVID, her first year
It
of
sounds,
life,
that's what I was
my
thinking
own
of
COVID.
actually. That sounds a lot. And then to actually go through COVID a few years later. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, you didn't have to say. Oh, it's hard. It was hard for my first year. And I had to add that I am Mexican, born and raised. I've been here 9 years now in America, but that wasn't my plan to stay here. I was pregnant right, and I was like, woo, I'm gonna go back with my mother because I have no family around. So that was hard a little bit, it was harder to deal with it alone with my husband. Well, he worked, so he had to leave. Not like right now, right? Like they're just everyone working from home.
Yeah.
So I, in a way, I had to deal with it alone. So sometimes, I was like, I was gonna lose it, but no. The good thing that every time Kathy came in and Angelina, her PT, came in, they gave me strength, and they were so helpful, and they listened to me. So, and they helped me with Lola, and kind of like we worked as a team. So I felt that the team was a really good team that I had for Lola, and I was always grateful for that. And they helped me a lot. They, gave me the resources, give me the strength I needed, give me the tools Lola needed, and in a way I needed to help her. So yeah, I think that's what helped me go, like through all that. And then, so when she was actually 18 months old, a year and a half, she had her third heart cath. And that's when the speech started, kind of, like that. Well, you need speech, your daughter's not talking. We were teaching her sign language. So that's how she's always been a great communicator, like with her hands or with her eyes, and her little grunts be like, she could really tell you what she wanted with just kind of like, looking at you. You're like, okay, I know you're hungry, or like more, Kathy helped me with that too.
Yeah.
So then I added someone else, speech. That was kind of around when she was 2. And when she was 2, Kathy was like, hey, Mariana, I'm in a new program. I would like her to be in preschool. And I'm like, hell no. I mean, I've been in the park. I now, after when she was 1 to 2, I went to the park more. I met friends. She met little, friends. But, people saw her differently. I'm not saying that they labeled her, but they were like, oh, why is she not talking? Why is she not walking? I can't understand your kid. How old is she? And they always kept getting me these comments. I mean, the moms, they were really judgy sometimes. And I was like, hey, I mean, she's been through a lot. Like, why are you asking me about something that you don't even know? I mean, sometimes they ask out of curiosity, and I was okay with it. I was like, yes, and I will just explain. I will tell them. And sometimes when they were judgy, I would just make them feel bad. Like, she already had 2 open heart surgeries. Like, how dare you? Have your kid gone through that? Like, have you? I mean, do you know? And I just made them feel bad because they were so mean. I mean, like, hello, right?
Yeah. Be sensitive. Yeah.
So, yes, exactly. And so, but I do love talking about Lola, and every time they were like that and they make her feel bad, and because sometimes she's very sensitive and she does understand, and I will tell Lola, like, you know what? Don't listen to them. Like, you are the greatest. You're the best. You're gonna get there when you get there, right? Like, don't worry, mom is here for you. So I always try to give her the tools. So then, okay, Kathy started kind of prepping me and be like, hey, like, this will be great for her, social interaction, to meet new kids, to be, in a school setting, because, that's going to be her life. She's going to be in school eventually. But I was very worried because she did not talk. She's not the type of kid that, if you take a toy from her, she will just stand there and be like, with a pouty face, like
a sad face, a pouty face.
Yeah.
Being like, someone help me, they took my toy. Yeah.
Or yes, or she'd just be sad, or just be like, okay, like she didn't know how to defend herself. And I was like, like, I don't want her to go through more, I don't want to say trauma, but through more like hardship, that I don't know, like, I was so cautious about that. Like, I wanted to really protect her from everything, but I can't, right? I can't. But so Kathy was like, hey, like, she needs it. I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna go away. I'm gonna be kind of like her shadow teacher. So that was the only way I accepted because she was gonna be there. Like, and then I met Miss Julie and I met the kids, and they had, at the time, they really had a really cool, in the program with the same teacher, they have Fridays with mommy and me with the teacher.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yes, it actually was great because I met the teacher, Lola met the teacher, the classroom setting. And then 6 months later, when she was 2.5, she went in with Kathy. And she was sad sometimes, but I was, we helped her. Kathy helped her a lot, and I prepped her, and she did great eventually. She didn't have words, but she was getting there. And, that was just for like 6 months before she turned 3. So
Okay.
that was kind of like all her, right? Her birth to 3. So yes, you want me to talk more specifically about
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, no, great. That's all really useful information about Lola's journey. And like the medical side of it. You've alluded a little bit to like the changes that Lola and the family like you experienced in birth to 3 to like actually pre-K. So what did that transition look like?
Oh, yeah.
So it sounded like Kathy. So Kathy is an early intervention specialist.
Yes.
And so it sounds like Kathy helped transition you and Lola to a classroom of sorts at 2.5
Yeah.
to age 3.
Yes.
And was that intentional then to help Lola adjust and you adjust to like a more school setting versus like coming into the home?
I think so. I think that was her goal. I really have to ask her. I mean, that's
Okay.
an answer for her.
Okay.
But I think, yes, I think that was her goal, because that is the goal eventually. Because my goal wasn't homeschooling. Hell no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, she's my only child, so she really needed the social aspect, and I did not know how important that was. And because and she knew I didn't have family, that I did not have support. I mean, I have community, I have friends by that time, but it's not the same. They're not, like her cousins or her grandmother. So yes, and now I know it's very important to have that social interaction, and her to be able to advocate for herself. I mean, like, to be independent too of me, that I cannot always be there to protect her, because sometimes I feel that she will always look at me, and she still does do that when she's 6 right now. And she will be like, she looked at me and be like, yeah, mom, or like, help me, or like, what do I do? And I'm like, you know what to do. I mean, I always tell her, use your words. Like, you have words now, you have a tool. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna tell her, stop it. And I'm like, yes, tell her, stop it. So yeah, I had to teach her so young to be like, stop, I don't like that. So it took her forever to say stop, I don't like it, but she does sometimes, and she did eventually. So yes, when she was 2.5, Kathy was prepping me also, because she knew that I was getting so attached to her now.
Yeah.
And actually, I forgot to mention that at first I did not want any help. That too, like, parents, I mean, we're parents, and we know what we want for our kids. We know what is best for our kids. But we also need someone to coach us. I mean, I learned that after 2 years of being with everyone, with the PT, with the speech, with Kathy, to be like, yes, I needed this. And the social worker, she was great too, Sally. She was always like, don't worry, like, I'll talk to your insurance. You talk to your insurance. We'll handle this. We'll do this. We'll do this together. But you need PT, so I'm just gonna give it to you. You need this. I'm just gonna give it to you. So she just, kept throwing people at me, because she knew Lola needed it. And I didn't, and I was like, hey, wait, stop. Like, I don't want to handle more people. Like, this is too much. I handle a lot, and my brain is gonna. So, but then, like I said, I always ask Kathy, hey, are you done with her? Hey, can we leave her alone? Can she just be doing this by her own? I mean, she can, right? And she's like, yes and no. She really needs the support. And yes, after 2 years, I learned that she really needed the support, that I needed the support. And I was so grateful that I got it. So if you encounter parents who are like, no, 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 I don't care. Just grab them and be like, she needs this. Because sometimes we need that. We need kind of like a shake and be like, to be more stern, because sometimes she was stern with me, and she's like, let me be truthful. And she was direct. And I think that helped me to understand a little bit more. So yes, the IEP, she told me what to expect a little bit. She's like, okay, now you're going to transition to an IEP meeting. What that looks like, you can, and I actually invited the preschool teacher too. So they have, they were Lola's eyes in school, but I was, Lola's eyes in her life.
Yeah.
So when I got in the IEP and I got, referred to the public school system, I met the team. It was more overwhelming than I was expecting. It's a lot. They, because of all the evaluations that needed to happen again. I needed to see not only the medical evaluations, because she did have a medical evaluations for other things. I needed to have the school evaluations, the psychologist, the teacher. I think but the teacher was like 2, 3, 4 times. The psychologist was like 2 to 4 times too. I think she's also a speech therapist, and they all kept asking the same questions, right? So I needed to be on top of it. Like, okay, I needed to remember everything. And I was like,
what you
hey,
said
wait.
to one person versus the next. Yeah.
Yes. And they just kept asking the same one, but like in different ways. And I was like, but don't you have it all? I mean, don't you have her history? I mean, and then, yeah, so it was a lot, but at the same time, it was good that they were asking a lot of questions. So they really know how to, do things for Lola, or like, what are the resources she can get, or like the help she needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she was 3. We got into, so early intervention preschool. It was from 3 to 5. And I think it was a mod. No, wait. I think it was moderate, because severe was another one. Like moderate to severe was the next classroom. She was in the, I forgot the name, low to mod, like
mild to moderate.
Thank you, mild. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Mild to moderate.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's kind of like a mix of, I think it was like 12 kids and 3 or 4 parents. So that was I felt okay with it. I was like, okay, this seems like good. Like she has a lot of help. The teacher has a lot of help. She was bilingual, the teacher, so I loved that, because Lola, she was always only getting like Spanish at home and English with her therapist, and she understood. But I think her words were more in Spanish than English at first. So yes, that was a nice transition, that her teacher was bilingual and she would speak Spanish to her.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I was and I was so sad. I mean, I was heartbroken that Kathy couldn't be with us anymore. Like that transition is so harsh. It's like, boom, bye, thank you. It's kind of like a bad, like a weird separation, divorce. I can't talk to you. You cannot talk to me. Almost like, wait,
yeah,
what?
because everything just totally changed, right? So before it was like family centered and you were part of it. They were like in your home. And then now you're switching to like a new team and new people, and you're like sending Lola to school that you're not really there for, except for Fridays, it sounded like.
Oh, no, not even Fridays. That was actually in the other preschool setting, like in the
2 to 3.
Yeah, it was 2 to 3. But then that was just Kathy and Miss Julie doing a program specifically for kids till they turn 3, because by 3, you get public system, IEP, like different world. But yes, I sent her into the world with no knowledge. I mean, I did not see what was happening. I couldn't really enforce anything. So it was a struggle for me at first. It was like, hey, but I'm used to really, like being there for her. Like, why is she cry? Like, if somebody pushes her, like she doesn't even know how to defend herself, because now Kathy wasn't there, I wasn't there, and nobody knew her. Her teacher, everyone was new for her. And so yes, that was really hard for me. That kind of like it was a cutoff, a clink, like break. And then Kathy was like, no. And I asked her, like, can we keep in touch? She's like, of course. So I still keep in touch with Kathy.
And that's how we got connected. Yeah.
Yeah. So after 3 years, we're still in touch, and I love Kathy, and I keep her updated. Actually, her teacher from early intervention, she's my friend now too.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I love her. That was her second teacher. So her bilingual teacher, I still, I see her in school because she's in the same school that she goes right now. But yeah, so it was a hard transition because now you don't get the same interaction. I had to learn that. Her teacher was really vocal, so I really appreciated that. She was like, this is happening, this happened. And now I was kind of like learning what Lola was going through in classroom, and I was kind of like helping her. And
Yeah.
by that time she was now she had all her services stopped individually. So now it was a group kind of like intervention, a speech.
Yeah.
And she just had speech by that time and her, early intervention class. That's it. But then, and I was glad and I was happy. I mean, then they changed me to another teacher, to another school, yes, and to another kiddos. And so it's been a lot of change. So I think that's what's harder to me, like all the changes so sporadically. And I mean, nothing stayed the same. Everything kind of like just
Kept switching.
okay. Yeah, kept switching on us. The good thing was that medically speaking, she was getting better. So that was good. So no more doctors.
Hmm.
So I was just so I could just kind of like focus on her development milestones
Yeah.
and to building her up, right? And so
Yeah.
so that's been IEP, and I've done like 10 IEPs by now. And
Not a
it's
fan.
always fighting. Yes, it's always like, hey, she needs this. No, she does not. I did not know that you could ask for IEPs, first of all. I did not know that you could ask for evaluations. Like they just tell you, like, oh, these are your rights. Have you read them? I mean, they don't explain them to you. They make you read them. And you're like, are you okay with it? You're like, oh, yeah, but you don't really know. You don't know your rights, not like your real rights, but what you can really do for your kids, or like how can you advocate for your kids better with an IP. Now I know. I have a friend that she was a principal, and she was with Lola, one of her kiddos, and she's like, hey, like if you see this, you can always ask for an IP. You can always do this. So she was kind of like my coach for IP, and I was so
Coaching you how to
grateful.
advocate. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
because I know like even the procedural safeguards, like the parent rights, are really confusing, and they're not necessarily like legal jargon, but it's
Yeah.
jargon and it's hard to understand what they even mean. So that's disappointing to hear they never like explain that to you.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, I think because they know I speak English, they're like, oh, like you read it, right? Like you understand English, you're fluent. And I'm like, yes. But that doesn't mean that I know what the hell this is. I mean, sorry.
No,
But I mean, like, I wasn't born here. Like, this is not the way the system works in Mexico. Not at all. Like, we don't have this, not even a close thing, like nothing. So I have to learn everything. Everything I learn it, because I have really good coaches. I mean, like all the therapists, I learned something from each one of them. I mean, I learned something from my friend because she knew what she was talking about. And that's why, and I learned how to be an advocate for Lola. And I think that's kind of like the most important thing for me right now, to just keep learning and really give her all the tools she needs, right? Like all the services she needs. And but yeah, it was a fight. They always, wiggle around and be like, she does not need it. If you don't really ask for it, like, hey, I want this. They will never agree. But then the teacher, you have to build the relationship, right? Like it's
yeah.
an ongoing thing. So I had a really good teacher last year, and she was telling me like, hey, you can, or hey, this is, like you have your rights. Remember, you have rights. You can always advocate, ask for it. We can say, if we say no, you asked, right? But they can't say really no. I learned that too. Like you have to have like data, right? So yeah, so that's been a process. Yeah, it's been an emotional roller coaster since she was born, right?
It sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do. Yeah, I deal with it. It's fine.
You have to advocate. So I guess like looking back, so Lola's 6 now, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking back over the last 6 years, like, what do you wish you would have known about this like journey, like where you are now, in terms of anything related to like Lola's birth to 3, related to Lola's development, how you would become and like evolve as a parent, being a parent for the first time, like, what do you wish you would have known?
Wow. What I wish I would have known. Like, what would I tell Mariana if I could have a DeLorean and
I
go
guess,
back in
yeah.
time?
Yeah, go back in a time machine.
Like, hey, I'll give her the IP.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I will tell her. I mean, if I could talk to myself, I will be like, don't fight it. Because I mean, sorry, this is getting me emotional.
Okay.
So I feel that, okay, so life is hard, of course. So kind of like don't make it harder for yourself. I mean, because I wish I knew that, like, don't fight all the help they're giving you. And the other way around, like, fight for more help, right? Like, fight to get your daughter even better help. If, I mean, she had the best help, but if she didn't, right? Like, to always ask for help, don't fight the help, embrace and change, honestly. Live every day like it's the last one, because it's just sometimes you get so involved in your life and be like, oh, why me? Like, I was always worried all the time, like, what's gonna happen? Like, what, like, why am I doing all this for? Like, right? Like, because she needed all these interventions. She already went to 3 open hearts now. At 4 was her last one. I mean, she needs more. And we
Hmm.
know that. We know she needs a lot of medical things and I mean, she still hasn't reached all her milestones, but she's getting there. So just to be patient, don't fight it. I mean, be grateful for what you're giving. Um, I don't know. I think just, I don't know what else. I mean, it's been a learning curve for me, but I think I wish I had a manual, maybe, right? That would be awesome. To really, I mean, to we can give parents, because it's such a hard transition to be like, hey, you're in the hospital. We're gonna refer you to everyone. And you're like, what? And then just maybe make the process easier. I
Yeah.
mean, this is more not for me, so like the
The
system, how it
system.
works. So make it easier. It's so hard. I mean, it's so complex, and we sometimes don't know what to expect. When you know what to expect, when you make it maybe easier in steps, like if you get a social worker, right? That's your social worker. Don't get like, oh, you get the first one, and then we're gonna find you another one. No, like just get you like the one, maybe a second one is the one, maybe, like doesn't work, or you don't like her, or it's not that great, I don't know, right?
Not a good match. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, because I get that, right? Like we sometimes don't match, and that's, I mean, yes, and I think that should be something too. Like if you don't match with your family, honestly, step back, because the family really needs help and an advocate, and you really need to be able to provide that for them, because if not, they're not going to pay attention, they're not going to listen to you, right? Like they're going to be just, pushing back, because that's what I did
Hmm.
at first. I pushed back and I pushed back a little, because I was like, I don't need this, like I had too much in my plate. But then, because they listened to me and I talked a lot and I am very verbal, I think that's why we matched with all my with all my people.
Yeah.
So we've did like a good thing going on. So yes, I think it's just, encourage working together with the parents. I think that's like the best thing, and to make the process easier. It is hard on us, very hard, and on the kids too. They get tired. Evaluation to evaluation to evaluation, like, and that too. Talking about evaluations with her, I didn't talk about her transition to kindergarten. They did not want her to be mainstreamed. I mean, her new team, because it's a different team from the team from 3 to 5.
K to K. Yeah.
So her new team, they were like, no, I don't think it's a good fit. Her IQ is this, her this and that, her independence is there. Like all the data. I'm like, but that's data. She does not does well in, because I know when she's in pressure, she just blacks out and be like, nope. She doesn't want to do it, because if you're
Yeah.
pressuring her, she's like, no, thank you. So, and I'm like, no, I mean, I know she's gonna do great in kindergarten. So, oh my God, I had a fight of my life. I was like, no, we had to do kindergarten. And all her team, they're like, the team that was gonna give her away, they're like, hey, she needs kindergarten. She needs to be mainstream. So we were like all kind of like pushing towards that. And I think that's very important to have someone on your side, the expert on your side, like somebody that really knows your kid, right? To be there with you and be like, yes, let's advocate together. Like, let's see her strengths, not her negative, because there are always sometimes they were talking all the time about their negatives. Lola can't do this. Lola can't do that. I'm like, hey, she can do this and she can do that. I mean, it's just gonna grow. It's just gonna be there. It's just gonna get there. And actually, and they put me on probation. So they're like, we're gonna give you 6 weeks at the first of kindergarten and see, and we'll evaluate from there. And I was like, what?
That's
And
not very long because the kids take a while to adjust to a new setting with new people, new
yeah,
students, new teachers, new school, like
everything,
yeah,
rules, right? With
everything.
one teacher and 24 kids. That was crazy.
Yeah,
Versus 3 teachers and 10 kids.
yeah.
And
The
then
ratio
COVID.
is just and then COVID. Yes.
Yeah, this was like 7 months ago, August last year.
Yeah.
So yes, and actually, I love this. She proved them wrong. She did.
Yeah, Lola.
Yeah, exactly. And I told them in their face. I was like, I told you in your face. I'm sorry to tell you this, but in your face, I told you that she was doing great. She's like, no, yeah, you were so right. I'm like, yes, that's why you
I
had to
told
listen
you.
to parents. Yes, I told you. I know. I didn't care, and I did tell them that.
Yeah.
I told them. So yeah, so yeah, it's been a process, but it's been a great curve of learning curve, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's been so wonderful talking to you. You're like really the ultimate warrior when it comes to family, being a
Thank you.
parent. Yeah.
Thank you
I
so
mean, it
much.
sounds like you've had like a really tough journey and having to fight for Lola and fight for yourself and like what your family really needed. So I think this is all really, really helpful for students to hear the parent perspective and like a unique perspective that you bring to the table about uh, making sure you kind of are not forceful, you making sure that they really try to push parents in a supportive way to like,
Yeah.
hey, we are here to support you, we are here to help you. Like, what can we do? And we're gonna figure it out together.
Yes, a team.
A team, like a true partnership, collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today. And if students have any questions, they can email me and then we can set up another Zoom and kind of answer those.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.